Boxing King Media in association with Boxro. Eddie Hearn, 2 presses in 2 days.
Yeah.
You're a busy man.
Yeah, and lots more next week as well. It's coming up to a busy time, of course. I think it's 8 shows in 7 weeks throughout February and everything. So balancing, spinning lots of plates and loving it because tickets are flying for all of them. You know, I think there's a real demand for people to go and watch boxing, also to go back to live events, and this will be another sellout probably this week.
Talking of sellout, there's obviously a lot of rumours online that this fight was made mainly because of the financials as well. Obviously it's well documented Barry didn't sell too well in Sheffield. Did that play a big part in this fight being made?
Probably it played a big part in terms of what Barry could be offered for the rematch. Do you know what I mean? Because we had an amount of money that we had to pay Kiko Martinez. He wasn't really interested in the Kid Galahad rematch. He said he'd do it in Spain. I was like, okay. And then, you know, so the money for Kid Galahad was poor, but also he needed to move up. You know, in the changing room after that fight, it was kind of like a common agreement that he needed to move up in weight. It was his ego and his, well, not ego, heart that says, no, I want to go back and fight Kiko. But I think after thinking about it, and he's got a really good fight on March 12th at super featherweight. And, you know, we've got a Gower, we've got Caldina, we've got Zelfa Barrett as well. We can get him a shot at a world title at 130, and I think it's time for him to move up. So, yes, of course, when Kiko's money was what it was, you have to find a way to generate it. And you can do that by selling 9,000 tickets a lot easier.
And the fans were obviously laying into Josh after the rematch with Lara as well, saying that he was possibly heading towards another defeat. Yeah. What do you read into that? And also the fact that I think since their last 4, Martinez has had 10 fights, and Josh I think this is going to be his 6th fight. Yeah. Will them 2 things play a part?
I think the first one was, I think it's very difficult to say Josh was on his way to a defeat. I mean, the fight was, 2 rounds in? Like, you know, it was, but Josh said to me after that fight, look, I only really want to fight Lara in a trilogy, or I want to go to America and have a big fight out there for my fans. After this fight, when Kiko said, I want Josh Warrington, I phoned up Josh, he couldn't believe it. So, activity, there's a reason why Kiko Martinez said to us, I want Josh Warrington. All right? So, firstly, they thought he won the first fight, but they obviously think he's done. And, you know, maybe he's not the fighter that he once was, and he thinks he's going to knock him out this time. So, I think either guy, this could be their last fight if they suffer defeat, because they're elite fighters that want to fight at that level. So, I don't know about activity. I think that Josh doesn't have probably the confidence that Kiko has, because Kiko's coming off a massive knockout win. And Josh is coming off a defeat and a technical draw and some inactivity as well. So, I don't know. I mean, he looks very confident, Kiko. A lot more confident than he did on Kid Galahad fight week.
Sure. And then moving on to Maxi Hughes, was there any chance of him potentially fighting Ryan Garcia, because he still doesn't have an opponent?
I think that Maxi's kind of like waiting for that call, you know, like that golden call. Michael Mickinson got one recently, and he's just got to keep winning. But I think that he's not yet sort of recognised by those guys as a world name. This is a good fight for him, and it's a tough fight against Ryan Walsh, really tough fight. But if he can keep winning, I think he puts his name on that list for one of those big fights.
Spoke to Ebanie Bridges earlier. She's not happy that you've never officially announced her as a matchroom fighter, even though she's halfway through a contract. If she wins, is there enough time for her to potentially defend that title in Australia?
Yeah, I think that she's done great. Actually, you know, when we signed her originally, it was to fight Shannon Courtney, and I don't know why we never signed her. And then in the end, I said, let's announce you, and she was like, no, it's too late now. I feel like I'm an afterthought. So, but she's got this opportunity. It's a massive opportunity, life-changing opportunity, to be honest with you. And I think it's a very, very tough fight. Very tough fight. Roman's really good, but Ebanie's really tough, and she can punch. And she's done a great job building her fan base here. So we'll see if she can pull off a great victory on March 26th.
The Australia date, I know there's no date officially set, but have you got a date in mind?
Probably July. I mean, look, we'll have to see what happens with the Devin Haney-Cambosa situation, but I think July onwards for us is when we'll be ready. And, you know, she can fight over there. She's built a big fan base here as well. You know, we've got Dempsey McKean, we've got Sky Nicholson, we've got Brock Jarvis, we've got Liam Paro. We've got so much Australian talent now that we can do a great show over there in Australia, and we will definitely do that this summer.
Last question on the whole Fury White situation. Looking at Tyson's Instagram stories, I don't know if he's trying to wind you up or play into something. Yeah. What's going on there?
I don't know. He's like laughing at me, but he's the one that's turned down the Usyk fight and the Joshua. I don't know. I don't know what he's being told or what he's thinking. But look, we're 5 hours away from the purse bid for White against Fury, and pretty confident that'll happen.
I love asking about figures. How many zeros are going to be in your envelope?
Well, we'll see. I mean, we'll be very aggressive. We'll be as aggressive as we can be. But it's difficult when it's hard to explain. But when you're on a 20% at the moment end, and the opposing fighter is on an 80% end, it's very easy for that promoter to do a deal with that fighter and then overbid, and only have to pay the 20% of the overbid, if that makes sense. So you can manipulate a bid a lot easier when you've got that lion's share. So, but I don't know whether Fury would agree to that, because he might want to say, no, I just want to go to bid and see what I get. But anything can happen. I could leave here and get a phone call to say, what about this, and we delay the, So, but right now, the bid's going ahead.
Eddie, thank you so much for your time.
Cheers, mate. Thank you.